I have hit record. Not only do I say record every time, but I use the same voice. Like, I can't just be like, "Oh, hey, Mikey, how are you?"
You can't even be normal for 2 seconds. You have to be like, I'm recording.
I don't sound that bad. I mean, Jesus, you make me sound like I don't know, like a small green alien creature, like an Oompa Loompa or something.
That's a little orange one, but that's fine.
They have green hair.
They had green hair. You're right.
Green hair.
I wanna put like a super cut together of all the times where you've said you're recording.
Oh my God! No, please do. That would be so
hilarious.
good.
That would be so good.
I would love that.
But then I have to go back and listen to all of you say it.
Well, yeah, but you're listening to me all the time anyway.
Half
listening. Hey, everybody. It's the Brightside with Mikey and Rachel. I'm Rachel.
I'm Mikey.
And this is the podcast where we talk about Lindy Hop, our opinions, and basically whatever else we feel like it.
So I want to talk about, I'm going to change this podcast to dancing to about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and how I just sat in my butt and watched all 8 hours of The Defenders on Netflix and how awesome and like underwhelmed but also like overwhelmed I am as a nerd. As a nerd, I was very overwhelmed. As a viewer, I was very underwhelmed. And Rachel's looking at me like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And I'm just gonna say it's nerdy things. It's nerdy things, Rachel. It's about viewing movies and video stuff that you don't like, and that's fine. But I'm still gonna talk about it.
I mean, okay. First of all, no one asked you what your opinion was. Secondly, it's wildly confusing that you said that you were overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time.
Yeah,
but it was amazing.
But that's what I said. I said my nerdy side of the brain was overwhelmed because there was so many nerdy little Easter eggs in there, and my like regular person just viewing a movie was underwhelmed because I was like, it was kind of predictable, but I mean it's all right.
Why do they call them Easter eggs?
Like when
What about the atheists?
when us
What about the Jews?
when us non-Jews,
Jews.
not part of the tribe, in April we have this thing called Easter, and because we go hunting for eggs, because the chocolate of the egg reminds us of the chocolate of the cross. Anyways,
the history of Jesus.
Yeah, you go hunting for Easter eggs. So Easter eggs are hidden things that like you're supposed to go find, and that's why they call them Easter eggs.
I see.
Especially in the Marvel world and like DC world, like they have like always little things, whether it's somebody's name that's like some like deep cut from the comics, or whether it's like a place that you've heard of in the comics. Like in the comics, there's 2 bars in New York. There's one bar that's made for like the villains, like the bad guys, and like they all go there.
Yeah.
But like the rule is you're not supposed to do anything bad there. Like you can go there and it could be a safe haven. And the same thing for the superheroes. It's like a regular bar. It's not like a fancy smancy little thing. It's like a dive bar, and both of them are dive bars. And it's the same thing for the heroes. It's like you can go there, but you're not allowed to like use your powers or whatnot. Yeah, you're not allowed to use your powers
just be
or like
normal.
Yeah,
Don't go
like
saving people if they're in trouble.
pretty much. Yeah. If
This
you're there,
is the
like
place where you get trashed.
Yeah. You pretty much you get trashed and play cards. Like that's how they all do. And the funny thing is in these Marvel universes, right, on the Netflix stuff, they have these like bars where like nothing really happens in the bars, and they're kind of it's kind of a throwback to those bars where like they have a good guy's bar and a bad guy's bar.
Uh-huh.
And so it's one of those things. It's meant to be this thing. It's not really that thing, but it's meant to invoke the same feeling of it.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So anyways.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good for you.
So my life isn't exciting. How's your life right now?
My life has been kind of crazy. So yesterday I had my first callback for it was for Expedia. It's for like a test for a commercial.
Uh-huh.
And man, I'm feeling like pretty frustrated about it because I was so excited that I got this callback. Like my first callback. And so I go in and they just want me to like walk across the room with a bag. like like as if I'm carrying a suitcase. Like I walk one way and then I walk the other way, but I have to like look like I've just arrived in Rome and I'm taking it all in and I'm looking around. And then at the end I'm like in LAX, like just come home from the trip, but I'm looking forward to the next trip. And
you don't have any dialogue. You just have like emotions. You're emoting.
No talking. It's just walking with the bag. And they gave me notes and then had me do it again. And like part of me was just like it was just walking. Like just pick somebody. It's walking. Yeah. But at the same time I'm like it's walking. I should have been able to walk correctly so that they didn't have to give me notes to do it again. And so like now I'm like at first, like when I first left, I was like, well, I feel like it still went pretty well. Like I might still have a chance of actually booking the commercial. But now I'm like, the fact that they gave me notes is like, I mean, they want me to succeed because they gave me the notes instead of just being like, you suck, goodbye. But at the same time, they didn't seem thrilled with me.
Right,
you know what I mean? So I don't know.
So you're overwhelmed and underwhelmed at the same time. I get
overwhelmed and underwhelmed. Like it's walking, but it's walking. Do you know?
You know what's funny about that is that like maybe they just gave you notes so they could be like, let's see how fast you could pick this up. If we do give you notes, like if we if you decided like something very unsubstantial, like as walking, you know, but like. See how you did with it.
The other thing is that like the notes they gave me were like confusing and vague, or like the directions they gave me, and so then like I got notes, but they were like a little bit more specific, but still kind of vague. But like the thing that I don't understand is like when you're actually on set, they are so crystal clear with what they want from you, so that you don't make mistakes. But like in the audition room, they're so vague, and it's like. Like, are they just doing that to cut people out so it's easier for them to pick someone, you know?
Well, I mean, to be fair, like, this is actually something I was going to joke about, but I kind of do it, which is like, when you were like, they kind of gave vague notes, and I was like, I made a career off of that. Like,
yeah, but you have.
Yeah, but I have.
But I have.
Thank you, Rachel. But really, like sometimes you give people, in this case dancers, or in your case like actors, like you give them like vague or kind of general notes to see what they do with it, and then you kind of like guide them afterwards to see what happens. I mean, I have no idea. Like every time I think I figured out how like the Hollywood and TV system works. It always just kind of changes, or like they do whatever the fuck they want, and there's no real system to it. There's just like whatever they feel like at the moment.
Yeah, it's so crazy, and like the average commercial has 3,500 submissions to get an audition, and then they might pick like 100 people to audition, and then they might call back like 15 or 20 people.
Right.
So like it's a crazy amount of people that they have to like sift through.
Yeah.
You know?
But to be fair, I'm like, that's their job.
That is their job.
that is their job. Like that is specific companies that like only do this, right? That sift through all those 35,000 and then like boil it down to like the top whatever people.
Totally. The other thing is that like the original audition was like one woman was in the room with me like running the camera and giving me directions, and then yesterday there were like 7 or 8 or 9 people in there, and they were all staring at me, and like they don't give a shit about me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
of course,
they just want to see whether or not I'm gonna work for their project, and so like it's like it is the most bizarre thing in the world to go into a room with like a bunch of people who are judging you for 30 seconds, and then they're gonna decide whether or not you're good enough for their project.
You know what's funny though? I mean, like that is like the perfect definition for a dance contest.
Oh, it totally is.
It's weird to walk into a room and like perform for them for 30 seconds and decide whether or not you get a prize or not.
Yeah, that's exactly how it is. And like even like my preparation and like shaking off my nerves and stuff before I go into the audition room is the exact same as like what I do for a dance contest.
You're fine. You're gonna succeed. You've been doing this for years.
Shh. I mean,
girl, please.
It is true. Although I will say that like speaking in front of these people feels a lot scarier than just like moving in front of these people.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I remember like feeling like I could never publicly talk in front of people. Like, did you ever take a public speaking class in school?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I hated it.
I hated it too.
I remember, I think I talked about it already once, but like I remember one time it was like, I think it was the final, or it was like close to a final. It was like a midterm type thing. It was in 7th grade, and I had just started dancing, and the topic was teach something.
Yeah.
And so I taught how to dance, like a 6-count basic type thing, right?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like I like taught about it and like talked about like Charleston, and then like put on Cherry Poppin' Daddies and like danced by myself, pretending to dance with a partner. and my teacher gave me one note. My teacher was like, you found the thing you like to do. Like that was the best that you've ever done this whole thing. Like you came alive. Like all these other things all the other speeches that you'd done before were not good, and this one was very, very good. It was like polarizing, and so yeah, I always remember that, and I was like, huh, interesting. Maybe I should rock step my way to glory.
I don't remember my public speaking class at all, but I will say that since I've gotten older and I started teaching Lindy Hop, I have gotten a lot better at public speaking.
Yeah.
But being in these audition rooms and having people like specifically listening to the intonation of my voice and like listening to my story and like watching my personality from how I speak is a lot more intimidating as opposed to just like speaking at people.
Right.
Because now they're like, oh, how's the quality of her voice? How's the quality of her pronunciation of words?
Mm-hmm.
How animated and open is she when she's telling a story? What does this story reveal about her personality? Is this a personality we're willing to work with? Is this a personality that is going to be capable of doing the job that we need them to be doing?
You're totally right. And you know what's funny? As you were saying that, I was like, those are funny. And then I was like, wait, I actually feel like I think about that when I'm in a class. Like
Really?
like maybe not in the detail, like great detail like you just went into, that some people would go into in that field.
Yeah.
But I feel like when I walk into a room full of dancers, like they're gonna judge the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Whether my teaching style or my dance style or whatever style thing that I'm presenting is gonna match up with their thought process or matches up with the way they think about the dance. Or whether they can understand me or not, or whether I am paying attention to them or not. Like, it's like a lot of not very similar things, but not all the same, but like very similar things that I think about that I need to connect to them. And I need to feel like I can connect with at least the majority of the class on some level. And yeah, I take those things in consideration every time I walk into a class.
Yeah. Oh, it's crazy. And like even like in my I started this new acting class. It's like a dramatic class. It's like a scene study. Did I tell you about this? I did this scene from Kissing Jessica Stein, and it was like me and this other girl. And then at the end of the script, like I was playing Jessica Stein, and it was like the scene. Have you seen that movie?
Hell no.
Oh, okay. You should watch it. It's really good.
I have a thing about watching movies with people's full names in the title.
Really?
Yeah, it's really
That's
awkward.
Stupid.
I don't like it. Ugh.
It's
weird.
It's a cute movie though.
It's like weirdly specific.
It's a good movie. Anyway, so she's like exploring being a lesbian, and she's like going over to this woman's house who is a lesbian, and they're like kind of going on a first date, and there's like this moment in the script where the other woman starts to lean in for a kiss, and then Jessica Stein stops them. And so I was like talking with my scene partner, and she was like, "Hey, is it cool if I go in for a kiss at the end?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, totally, no problem." Like I thought she was talking about that moment in the script.
Yeah.
But then like first of all, we're like going through the scene, and I'm like very nervous. It was like my first performance in my class, so I was like super nervous, which was fine because my character was supposed to be nervous. But then at the end, my scene partner leaned in and like actually started kissing me in front of everybody, and I was not expecting it. And I got really embarrassed.
Did you like pull away real fast, or did you like kind of wait there for a few seconds and then go,
No.
"Oh wait, I'm not supposed to like this"? Ah!
I leaned into the situation like where because like the character is supposed to be really nervous, but she also like wants to kiss the girl.
So she had soft lips. Got it.
So like when she leaned in for it, I like did that thing where I was like, "Oh, I'm nervous, but also I want to kiss you."
That's awesome. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that like I see on like movies and television where I'm like, wow, like they're going into it, and like in general, like whether it's just like whatever relationship type or whatever type thing, I always go like, wow, they're like basically kissing a stranger, or like even a little weirder, like they're basically kissing a friend, you know?
Well, yeah, like I had never had a conversation with this girl before. Like I just started the class.
Yeah.
We got partnered up without my choosing, and then you know, like we had the script, and so it was wild.
Yeah.
It was so wild. It's a
and
little
again,
like
it's
dancing though.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like it's like getting a Jack and Jill or a mix and match or whatever.
Yeah.
And getting into a dance contest where you're matched with somebody socially, randomly, and you never maybe danced with that person before ever.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, I'm gonna hold you.
Very closely.
Very closely, and then I'm gonna say,
chest to chest.
We're gonna dance chest to chest. We're gonna dance really fast, and then also I'm gonna ask you, can you do the splits?
Yeah, right. It's wild. So speaking of all that,
speaking of all this bullish, ILHC is coming up, and today we're going to be talking about ILHC is coming. It's like winter, but like worse.
First of all, we had all these really awesome plans for like recording stuff at ILHC. And I can't go to ILHC anymore.
What a dick.
I know. It's a really big bummer, and I really wish I could go. But
I'm going to miss you.
But I can't go. I'm going to miss you. Boo. Oh.
It's even better that like I'm injured, so that way I won't have to be like fucking like doing a contest or prepping for anything. We could have run around.
It would have been even better. It would have been even better.
I would have hobbled around, but yeah, I mean, it'll catch up.
Brett will still be there, so you can.
Well, he's super busy though. He's always busy.
Okay, but he's doing videos with Patrick and Natasha this year, so he might only be doing half the videos. Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Is that? I mean, never mind. I'll ask him more about that later. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he might have some more free time. So if you guys want to record something together.
Maybe that'd be fun.
Yeah.
I think I will be doing a real version of the track podcast. That'd be fun.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He just contacted me because like we did one before, like a live version, like a few years back, but it was like real weird. I think I talked about it before, but like it was real weird because like I got into like I need to entertain these people that are here to watch, and I wasn't really talking for realsy real.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do a real one and get in depth.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And then I'll probably have a little guesty guest.
That sounds good.
I'm definitely gonna do one at least for us.
Because Brett is doing the videography for ILHC, he's taking all of the equipment, so I won't have any recording equipment, so I won't be able to record. So we won't even be able to Skype because no one will be able to hear me.
I'll hold the microphone real close to the computer.
Close to the speaker.
And like, here, you speak.
Go try. So yeah, you should do all the things that I was gonna do.
I mean, I'm still gonna wait because
you're not gonna be as good as me because who is? But I mean, you can be really cute and try.
Yeah,
It'll
be a
good effort.
I'll try. I'll arrive with my bag in hand and think about, I'm ready for the next podcast.
I'm ready for the next trip.
The next trip podcast. Yeah, it'll be fun. I think. I don't think we'll do all the plans that we had, even though they're really good. I just want to do them with you, and we need both of us to do it.
We need both of us.
So we'll hold that in our pocket for another time. But I have a couple plans. Like I think I'll do one. Where I'll just like sit in the lobby and see who wants to talk to me.
Yes, I think that's great. Like,
and then like edit it.
Excuse me. Hey, you stranger. Do you want to come talk to me for a minute? I have a microphone.
You know what's gonna be really ridiculous about that is I'm literally gonna be talking to myself. Like it'll be just me and
like,
the
hey
Zoom,
guys,
and I was like,
so this is the Brightside with Mikey, and I'm sitting here by myself at the late night at ILHC, and everyone is avoiding me. There's literally a 50-foot radius around me where no humans are coming towards me or even walking by me.
everyone is in a ballroom dancing a dancing.
Do you want to be my friend? No. I've got $10.
That's exactly what it's gonna be like. Excuse me, do you want to be my friend?
Will you be my friend?
For like 5 minutes.
I can pay you.
I'm soliciting friendship. Yeah, and I will be there. Well, I'll half be there
because you hurt yourself.
I broke my ears off, and now I'm earless.
That's just stupid. Just say what really happened.
I don't want to, because here's the thing: is like we got on this FaceTime thing, and you immediately asked me like the 3 questions that I'm gonna get 3 million times this weekend.
That's why you say it now, so that way.
Oh yeah, so all the 6 people that are gonna talk to me.
So that way there'll be 6 less people asking you those questions. Duh.
Yeah. So
Mikey
I was
hurt himself.
I hurt myself. I was practicing Sunday, a couple days ago, and in the middle of a run through, I was rock stepping my way to glory, and I heard a pop, and I felt like a tennis ball or a rock hit the back of my calf, my left calf, and I immediately knew what it was because there's like only one sensation that feels so like, well, it happened before, so I knew it immediately because I was like, I will never forget what that felt like.
Was it in the same leg before?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so when that happened, I like hit the floor, and I was like, no. Like a lot of no's. It was sad, but also very funny because there was like a couple of group of girls like on the other side of the floor. Yeah. They were like looking over, like, what the fuck just happened? Like really awkwardly. Like,
did you cry? Did it hurt really bad?
Oh yeah. It hurt. No, I didn't cry right away. Like the thing is like I knew it hurt, and I knew what it was, and I knew I was like done.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's it. ILHC's done. And I didn't like. I was kind of oddly relaxed. I was just like, well, there's nothing to do here, so I like drove home, and I was in San Francisco, so I drove home like immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
And so like for 6 or 7 hours, I thought maybe like I would like think about it and then like maybe break down a little bit or like get emotional, and I didn't. And then I got home, and as soon as I got home, like I stepped into my room, like I was like, I fucking broke down so hard, and it sucked. Man. It sucked. All the pent up emotion just like fucking tumbled out of me like a waterfall, and it was for like an hour I was pretty distraught, and it sucked.
Was it because you were just so disappointed that like you had done all this hard work and now you won't be able to bear the fruits of it?
Well, I mean, in reality, yes, partially that, but more it's like I feel, and I know this is silly, and I know like my rational brain can figure it out, but my completely emotional side is like, I've let myself down. I'm a failure. Like I can't do all these things that I planned for myself. I had these goals, and I completely just downed and it was
the emotional stress being released.
Guilted myself. Yeah, exactly. And I think part of it that happened was like as soon as I got home, I pulled out the crutches from like the back of my garage. You know, like these things I'll never use again, but like I'll keep them in the back there. You know, like hidden.
Did you wrap your foot in bubble wrap?
No. Why would I wrap my foot in bubble wrap?
There's an episode on The Office where Michael Scott accidentally steps on his George Foreman grill, and he, instead of going to the doctor, he wraps his foot in bubble wrap, and then comes to work in crutches, and then lays in his office like moaning and groaning all day.
You think of the oddest things at the oddest times. And you're just fucking oh man, you're just hilarious right now. You're just fucking cracking your shit up right now.
It's just so funny because he stepped on the George Foreman grill because every morning when he wakes up, he has 6 pieces of bacon lying on his George Foreman grill at the end of his bed, and he turns it on so that way, and then he like goes back to sleep, and then so that way he wakes up to the smell of crackling bacon. And then he eats his bacon, and then he like wasn't watching where he was going, and then stepped on the George Foreman grill, and then the lid snapped shut on top of his foot, so it like smashed his foot while it was still burning hot.
A foot panini.
A foot panini. Right? Like, how funny is that?
I'll admit, I never really watched Office. I was never into it.
Oh my God. No, you have to. It's so good.
No, I don't have to. Like, it's fine.
You should, though.
Okay.
It's so good.
I'm okay. It
no,
gave
it's
us
so good. I'm watching it like the 4th time in a row right now.
It gave the world. That's what she said, and I'm okay with that. That's fine.
Oh, but no, it's so much more than that.
It's fine. I'm okay with
No.
it. Yeah, it's great.
Mikey, it's got such a good love story in it. You'll love it.
No.
You will.
I think I watched like a few episodes of like the first season, and that was about it. And I was like, I'm good.
You should try it again. Try it again.
Nah.
Try it again. You're so
Nah.
narrow-minded.
Nah.
Anyway, back to wrapping your foot up in bubble wrap. Go on.
The most random thing.
So are you walking around on crutches now? Or are you just
Yeah.
hobbling?
Both. I've been I've been just kind of like laying low, and I've been like, well, I can't do much, and I'm trying to like, raise my foot and ice it and elevate it and and just do all the wrapping, compression and all that shit, and trying my best to just rest it as much as possible. Like yesterday, I went out because I was like a little bit stir crazy because I was like, well, I need to get the fuck out of this house. Yeah. So I did for just the night. I got a little bit drunk, but not crazy. Like I had a good amount of gin and tonics, and it was nice. But
that sounds like fun.
besides that, like I mean, I've just been like using BioFreeze and some like magnesia gel, and like just trying to like keep the inflammation low, so it can heal itself a little bit faster.
Yeah.
As opposed to protect itself. Like inflammation just like kind of like tries to protect it, but then it makes it like really tender and sore. The last time this happened was I was looking back in my calendar because I was like, I remember what I was doing, and I was performing at Rusty's on a Friday, and it happened during the performance.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I had to stop the performance in the middle of it, and I've never had to do that before. And so after that, I looked at my calendar, and I was like, a week later, I was in San Francisco teaching. Like, it happened on a Friday, and then, like, the next Friday, I was in San Francisco teaching. And I'm like, how the fuck did that happen? Like, I'm looking at my foot. I'm like, it hasn't been a week. It's only been Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's only been 4 days. I'm, like, walking a little bit, and, like, the pain is, like, not that evident anymore.
Yeah.
Especially if I elevate it. But I'm, like, thinking to myself, I'm like, damn. And I'm like, well, even better because I have Camp Hollywood coming up and I have to teach there. So like that's 2 weeks away. So I'll be great by then.
Oh,
so
man.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm staying optimistic as much as I can, but it's only to drown out the fear of and guilt and failure that is like inside me that I'm like, stop it.
Yeah.
It's just I mean, everybody who's done whatever in their life or with their body, whether it be dancing or sport or whatever, any injury it feels like it's like, this is the end, this is it, this is the last one, and like I'm out of the game.
Yeah.
And especially with this one again, like it's the timing of it that is the worst part. Like I think if this happened like in the middle of October or September or something, like I'm like, okay, well I just gotta rest it and I'll be fine again, and I wouldn't think anything of it.
Totally.
But since it's the timing of like right next to ILHC and Camp Hollywood, like that, and I've talked about it before on the podcast. Like I don't feel like I have that many chances to compete and really throw down on the dance floor, and put myself up against other routines or other dancers and whatnot. And this is one of the periods of the year where I get to do that and feel really good about it and go up against competitors that I really admire and wanna beat. I mean, for lack of a better term.
Totally.
So there's a lot of emotions and a lot of like pride and a lot of ego on the line, and I think with this like it breaks it all, and I'm like okay with it because of like some personal other stuff that I'm not gonna get into because I don't want to talk about that part. But I'm I'm also just like fuck, like this is I keep thinking in my head, I was like, I was doing everything right. I was like treating my body good. I was like exercising and like yoga again and stretching and doing all this stuff and practicing and doing really hard and being really diligent with my time and management and everything. Like, I was like, fuck, I was doing everything good. I was like taking my vitamins every day, kids, you know, and then this happens and I'm like, well, okay, that's not enough.
I mean, sometimes that stuff just happens and it doesn't matter whether or not you're doing the right thing, you know? It's like Olympic athletes get injured all the time.
Yeah.
They get injured like in the middle of their big contest.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's a really good perspective to put it because Olympic athletes are the closest we'll ever get to superheroes.
Yeah.
Those are legit.
It's so true.
Yeah, or like superhumans rather, superhumans. Like those guys like Michael Phelps. That guy is like beyond superhuman. Like all that kind of stuff.
He still smokes weed.
I mean, yeah, he's got to. He has to.
He's got to.
He's got to. Got to make his caloric intake.
Seriously.
But yeah, like you're right. Like those guys, and we've seen it like plenty of times on TV where somebody just gets injured in the middle of the game, the big game.
Yeah.
You're right. That's a really good way to put it. I'm really glad this didn't happen in front of ILHC. Like,
oh my God.
And we've seen that happen as well.
We've seen that happen. I've never been. Well, I did have an injury during a performance once, but I like still made it through pretty okay. But it's never been like a big competition where I was like out there by myself and then hurt myself. Like, I don't know what that feeling is like. If you like have a feeling of embarrassment or if it's like just like immediate sadness and disappointment, or you're just like focused on the adrenaline and the pain. Like, I don't know. I'm sure it's different for everyone, but
I'm sure it's different for everybody. I mean, luckily with sport or dance in this case, there's a lot of there's a great amount of adrenaline I think that gets released when you dance, whether you're social dancing or practicing or in a performance, for sure in a performance, that like helps like hide the pain for a little bit, but then like as soon as it starts going away because your body's like in pain, you intensely feel it. I actually did have something happen in front of an audience. Like I did at Camp Hollywood. I went into a splits and I must have dislocated my knee because it was in so much pain and I couldn't straighten it.
Yeah.
And so I went back up to the room and I was like, again, like it finally, like the adrenaline wore off and like I was super emotional and I like broke down again. And again, I thought it was like, this is the end. This is it. I'm fucking done. Like I'm completely done. And then I like bent it another way, or like I crossed my leg on top of my other leg. And then I put it back down and I was like, I don't feel the pain anymore. I don't feel like that twinge. And I like stood up and I was like, okay, well it's sore, but like I can walk on it now and I can straighten it. And so I was like, okay, that was a dislocation. Okay, take it easy, but still, like, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was at the very end of a contest. I was like, I'll end it with a jump splits. Yay!
Oh, Mikey.
What a fucking idiot.
Oh,
God, this old brown man thinks he could just like jump up and just, like, fall on the splits
my
and
God.
just like dragging his butt on the ground, and then no, he's got to break his knee, and I'm like, that's fine. And I'm like, it's fine.
So why don't we kind of veer back towards our topic?
Oh Rachel, the great driver of our conversations and never veers off.
I know, seriously, right? So the topic is ILHC pregame, which like
it's all pregame.
Injuries was like one of our points, so check mark that off the list, you know.
I like that you're announcing everything.
Like, let's mark that off the list. Okay, which one shall we go to? The first one, the second one, the third one. Well, we did the fourth one, the fifth one, the sixth one. Like, I don't know.
So I have a note for you.
So let me give you a note.
Let me give you a note.
The way that you're holding your microphone, if you could just hold it like with your right hand instead of your left hand, and if you could do it like with a little bit more hopefulness in your wrist, like just a little bit more energy in your wrist and in your fingers.
Hopefulness in your wrist.
That would be really great. You know?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So back to the subject.
Back to the subject. So it's ILHC pregame.
Yeah. So the thing about the energy is the other thing about it in general is there was a person a long time ago. I mean, she's still around. Is Claudia from Montreal, and she had the great honor of portraying Norma Miller in the recreation of Hell's a Poppin' scene on stage at the Frankie 95. And during the final run through, she landed on her knee or she landed on her ankle, and it was like really bad. It was either sprained or something was broken or whatever. But either way, it was definitely like growing bigger.
Oh man.
Yeah, and so her not wanting to give up her spot and her not wanting to let anything down, she like just bared through it, through that long 3-hour fucking show until the very end.
Oh my
and
God.
Just like went out there and like did it as big as possible with all the aerials and landing on it, and then like fucking killed it. And then afterwards she's like just fell apart. So like this shit happens any moment. Like you're so like the great analogy of putting like the Olympics like that, like it's really similar enough to be like this is important to you and this is like the moment, and when something like this happens, your body breaks down. You're like,
yeah.
Sometimes it just fucking happens, and other times you just got to roll through it.
There's a video that was going around on Facebook not too long ago, maybe like a month or so ago, of like Olympic athletes falling and then like getting back up and finishing the race, even when they were like incapable of doing so. And there's one clip in the montage that really hit home for me, and it was like this guy. It was a track and field competition. He was running and he like fell and he hurt his leg and he couldn't stand on it, and his coach came over and like helped him cross the finish line, and he was just sobbing so hard. He was like, I think he was like in the race to place, and then like all of a sudden he fell and it was all over, and he was crushed.
I think part of this is, and this will get us into the first kind of point of interest, is all the preparation that happens before any big competition, like a race or like us for ILHC. All the preparation and practice and training that we do to our bodies and we do with other people, and we put so much time, effort, love, blood, sweat, tears, like all of it into this preparation moment, and then it all boils down to like 30 seconds of your life, but like it's the most important thing for you at that moment.
Yeah.
And as it should be, like it should not be downplayed. So if like stuff like this happens, like I'm letting myself feel like the way I feel because I know how much time. Like for instance, like practice time and training. I was gonna do 3 routines. One with Shannon from San Francisco, one with Joe from all over the world, and Nikki from Orange County, and with Joe alone, not in total, but in less than a week, we clocked in almost 24 hours of practice.
That's a lot. I mean, that's like a part-time job.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And the only reason we know why is because we had to pay for studio space.
Yeah.
And we just split it, and we're like, hey, we did this many hours, and like this is where the split is. And I was like, great, no problem. And yeah, so like something like that hit me when I'm like, wow, we spent so much time. And like that's not to mention like the time we spent in Spain working, or time here in Orange County working, which is probably an extra 24 hours on top. Each time.
Yeah.
And if not more. And so like that's like 4 or 5 days working straight on one routine.
Totally.
And that's just one of the 3 things I was going to be doing this weekend. So like when it comes down to practice and training, how much time do you think you've ever prepared for something like in a contest?
I would say that the most time that I ever spent preparing for something was for like a team routine for ILHC. And we would usually start in May, and I think we would start with like 2 to 3 practices a week to choreograph and stuff. And then as we got closer, we would do like 3 to 4 times a week. I think our last performance we did as Groove Juice Special, we were practicing every day for like a month and a half. Or like most days for a month and a half. Yeah. I mean, we were clocking a lot of hours in addition to like teaching classes and going social dancing you know?
Yeah.
Which, like, I always felt like when I was preparing for a big competition like that, like, every moment that I was spending dancing in some way was, like, a aspect of training.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely should be like always be ready to go, basically.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to social dancing, like that's the best practice you can put into any kind of mixed couple type, randomly paired contests. I think one thing, like in the sense of like, I mean, in the sense of like injuries and whatnot, I think what I want to put out there is that we should treat our bodies a little bit better in the sense of like the training or practice or whatever you want to call it. When you're getting ready for something, you should have a warm up and a cool down, as in the sense of like warm up and stretch a little bit. Like give yourself like 10 minutes. Like it does wonders to your body, and then like another 10 minutes at the end before you leave. Like it's probably one of the best things. Like I know I haven't done it all the time for my body, but I know it feels so much better when I do it.
We'd always spend like the first 20 minutes like stretching and just warming up and listening to music and like getting our heads in the game for rehearsal, especially because like not everyone comes on time, and so like we would use that time for people to show up, and then we would be like stretching and like kind of idea sharing during that time.
What do you think is something that is really good for people to understand when they work with a group? Like when it comes down to practice and training, and you all have the end objective, like something big that for all of you is like ILHC, a big contest. What do you think really helps you guys get in the mindset to like work together?
I think it's all about like learning how to manage your stress and learning how to manage other people's stress.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because like you're all on a team, so you have like a similar goal. Going to ILHC, for example. You're working on the same routine. You have a partner. You're going through the same motions as everybody else, but because everybody's different, they're going to handle the stress of it differently. Yeah. Especially if you don't have a coach or like a head person on your team who is the choreographer and is telling you what to do. Like if you have a democratic team, then it can be really hard to decide on, you know, sequences and how the practice is going to go and like who needs to fix what and like whose idea are we going to stick with? Like what kind of swing out are we doing here? Well, this couple's doing it this way, this couple's doing it this way, and they're both arguing that they want it to be their way in the routine. That's like really hard. What we would do is at the end of every practice, we just have like a little group chat. And then before we would go out and perform, we would have like a group pep talk. And like...
You like sit in a circle and like sing Kumbaya?
Basically. I mean, we had this weird chant that, God, I don't remember who came up with the chant.
Bunch of New Mexico
But it
people.
Was 4 on 3, Jesus on woe.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that.
So we'd go,
I've heard you guys do that.
1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa, Jesus. Not that any of us are religious.
Yeah, I remember that. No, I completely remember that now. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, did this just say, whoa, Jesus? I remember that.
It was like, the chant didn't mean anything to us, but it was just the fact that we were like doing it after a pep talk. It just give us like that moment to all be together at once.
Yeah, that's
before
really
we
good.
go, because like once you're out on the floor, even though you're working in a team environment, like you're still yourself out there.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
I think one of the like definitely like my only time like working in a group where we're all equals was when we had a group out here in South County, and we got together, and it was rough sometimes. Like our first routine was really cool. We never got to really perform it all together, which is hilarious. But the thing is like it's like bunch of pieces from all of us, because we were like, okay, this is our first big routine. Like we should just all have a say in it. Okay, cool. You take this piece. You guys take this piece. You guys take this piece. Great. And it was fun. It was great. We ended up doing it like instead of doing it 4 couples, we did it with 2 couples. Anyways, the next routine we did was led by Nick, and Nick choreographed the whole thing, and it was. I remember it being hard to learn choreography, as in the sense of like learning to do it like Nick did.
Yeah.
But then it got easier, and like I got it. I got that understanding in my body. But yeah, it made it a ton easier. Where he was like, okay, we're gonna do something that's like this, and it's gonna be in this direction, and we're gonna do this way, and facing this way, and whatnot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really easy. So like, no matter what, there's the ego will always be there. No matter what, the idea of like, I know I can do this way. Why aren't we doing it this way? And questioning is very easy to do. But it's like a skill to be able to be like, I'm gonna do something that this person created, and I'm gonna do it as good, or if not, I'm gonna do it even better because I'm gonna add my own little things to it, my own intricacies into it. And so,
Totally.
like, I saw it as like a challenge of like, damn, can I do this? And at the end, I felt like I could actually do a routine that was given to me
Yeah.
by someone I admire as a dancer.
Totally.
And one of the things that, like, definitely there was egos in the play, and one of the things we did to pep ourselves up was we would call it like hot tub time.
Oh.
Or like we would just have times where we'd go out to the hot tub and like just like relax at the hot tub, and like it would be so nice, or like have a drink all together, like something to remind us that like not only are we just like work friends, like we're actual just friends, and we need to like hang out together and like be around each other, to be influence each other, as opposed to feel like less than another person because I can't get a swing out like this other person, you know?
Yeah, we would do that too, and sometimes it would be difficult to rein people in. We'd be like, okay, tonight, like, we're all getting dinner together, and someone would be like, oh, but I wanted to go get dinner with these other friends, and then we'd be like, but you're supposed to be our friend, and we have a team dinner. Don't you want to eat dinner with us? And they'd be like,
remember the whole whoa Jesus thing? Jeez.
Remember the 4-0 whoa Jesus?
Oh man, that's so good. I mean, that was like our team feelings, but like in the sense of like a partnership, like where it's just one-on-one.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, in the sense of training and practice, I feel like a lot of people do it like many different ways. But I think one of the best ways to get ready for anything is to plan small choreographies. And not necessarily to do them, but plan some choreographies, because that it immediately gets you into a zone of like, where it gives you an objective. Okay, I have 8/8s to do awesome Lindy Hop. And then between the two partners, they can kind of come up with some things. And then if something doesn't work, fucking get rid of it and then do the next one. And then try to create a whole nother 8/8s, and then try to create a whole other 8/8s. And like what that does is like it gets you in the mindset of like talking things out, thinking about things, talking them out, and then trying them out, and then seeing how you can change them and mold them. And that is one of the most exciting parts about getting ready for something like ILHC, is like getting all these ideas out and seeing how they actually work, as opposed to like what you think or what you dream they might be, and then being like, wow, something actually works, or something is like, wow, that is horrible, that doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
And I think being able to have that feeling is also another really, really amazing way to practice and train yourself with a partner.
That's interesting, because I never that was something I never did with a partner. Like, we would every now and then
social dance it.
Like every now and then we would come up with some choreographies, but we were never able to like effectively pull them off on the floor in a competition. And so because of that, we were always like, let's just social dance it, or like we have some aerials we can do. We can do those aerials, but otherwise, like, we don't have any sequences. I remember there was one competition Kevin and I tried to do some choreography, and it just like failed so miserably.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that is like, that's the learning curve.
Yeah.
When you try to do choreographies or like little pieces in contests, they're gonna fail. Like, especially if you're not used to it. Like, there's a large amount of pressure as soon as you go out there. Again, it's like 15, 20 seconds of your life when you're going on to like a spotlight type thing. But like, you have to go through it. Like, I've been thinking about this like, a lot, and I think it's like with the whole like improv respect that it was a joke that went way too far and got way too serious. The idea of the dance isn't meant to be just one way. The idea was just like, hey, I'm just making fun of these guys. That was about it. But in reality, like, this dance is a choreographed dance the whole way through. We have names to moves. We know what move kind of fits into the next move. Is it because of that's the way we learned it, or is it because that's what feels natural to us as people.
Yeah.
So like I think in general, like we just have to submit to the idea that like we can plan this whole thing out, but the better you plan, the better you won't seem or look like a plan. It'll just feel like completely natural when you're doing it out there on the dance floor. And I think people need to like really figure that into their dancing, not just like, hey, we're just gonna social dance it and then like go out to a like a Strictly type thing, a couples contest, and like social dance it. I'm like, yeah, that's fine, but like think about how much more awesome you could be if you actually planned out like 1-8-8 or like one little thing, even if you don't do it, but you get that mentality, you get on the same wavelength of somebody.
Now, so I did do that. I competed with Andrew C. a couple of years ago at Camp Jitterbug.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah,
we were practicing a lot together leading up to that competition, and we did create like some really tiny pieces of choreographies, like 1-8 of something, or like 4 counts of something, and we never used them, but it did help us in the competition itself, like just having that like extra feeling of connection, you know?
Yeah, and that's what it's for. Like in the end of the day, like it like maybe you create something in the what am I trying to say? Like you create something in that space, in the moment.
Yeah.
And you never touch those 8-8s that you planned out before, but like because you're on the same wavelength and you could hear each other and you could feel each other and you can match everything all together, then you have a better understanding of your partner and you have a better understanding of who you are, and then you can mix and match that together. I really go ahead.
Oh, I do think I would have done better in competitions overall had I, like when I had a partner, had I done that stuff more often.
Yeah, and the funny thing is like I feel like in the European world, because they have boogie woogie and that's so prevalent in their dance culture. And not that everybody does it. It's just the ideas of it.
Right.
That's how they train. That's how they train this idea over and over again, and they train these things like where they're gonna fit to a lot of different music. And you could do that same thing to Lindy Hop. I mean, we have musicality classes that prove that. So in that same thing, it's like you, if you're watching a dancer come out and compete, and you're like, well, that's routine, and then you watch somebody else and you're like, wow, that was amazing. But then you find out it's a routine. Like, what's the difference? Is one person made it seem like it was natural for them to move that way, and the other people just seemed like they were just following numbers.
Totally.
So that comes with training and practice, and I feel like everybody out there can really benefit off the idea of like just coming up with 8-8s for themselves. Like maybe the goal isn't to like do it for ILHC, but goal is to like train yourself to do choreography better.
Totally.
Let's see. Moving on to another thing. How do you have you ever felt nervous or anxious before a contest, or like leading up to a contest?
Never.
I thought so.
Never been nervous in my life.
I think there was one time I might have like, oh, maybe I'm not going to do very well, and then I was like, no, I'm perfect. I'm amazing. I can do great.
There was this one time in this competition where I was about to walk on, and I was like, do I feel nervous? And then I was like, oh, no, just kidding. And I went out there and killed it.
I love the idea of the. Am I gonna do good?
Am I?
Yeah, totally.
Just kidding.
Wait, am I?
There have been contests where I've been so nervous that I've hardly been able to physically move.
Yeah.
Like, I was in a Jack and Jill at Lindy Fest a couple of years ago with Anthony Chen, and he and I used to be dance partners. We've danced a million times together. But there was something about like being out there, like just the two of us dancing, that made me so nervous all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I was trying so hard to relax. And after the dance, he was like, yeah, there was a point where like I was leading this double turn on you, and I was like, I don't know if she's going to do it. She's so tight right now. And I was like, I am so sorry. I was so nervous.
I love that he already thought like, hey, I know you're not ready to do this, but I'm going to go ahead and lead this double turn on you anyways. Like, I know it's going to feel horrible, but I'm just going to do it anyways.
Let's just do it.
I've definitely fucking done that before. I'm like, I know you're not ready for this, but what the fuck? Why not?
But we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. I'm an idiot.
I think that's been I every time we talk about something, I'm always like, oh yeah, that's a major issue I've been dealing with. But it is like something that I deal with a lot is like going out there and like being so nervous that I can't believe in myself or like have the confidence to dance how I usually dance.
Well, that's the thing is you know what I mean, I still feel like that for sure right before a contest. I know in the middle of a dance I feel okay.
Yeah.
I feel normal because I'm like, okay, this is my happy place, like I'm good. But one way I deal with it, and like this is actually going to be a question for you because I want to hear what you have to say about it. Do you ever get nervous? Do you ever get nervous or anxious like leading up to the contest? Like not right before or not at the event or whatever, but like maybe months or when you start practicing, like when you said when you were with the team, like practicing in May, do you start like getting nervous then?
Yeah, because I'm like, especially when I was creating choreographies, I wanted like, I'd always question myself, like, is this going to be a good choreography? Is this a good song choice? Are people going to like this? Like the first routine that we took to ILHC back in 2010 was like a really goofy, eclectic routine. And we had made it based off of the premise of like every time we'd think of something, we'd be like, wouldn't it be funny if we did this? And then we made the routine and we were like, wait, are people going to like this?
Yeah.
Like, is this just totally weird?
Bizarro.
Like, is this even Lindy Hop?
But that, I mean, like, did you, when you had all these, like, when you started questioning yourself, like, that's definitely something I go through too. Like, I'm glad you said it because I was like, okay, cool. Like, that feels like.
Yeah.
How did you deal with it? Like, what did you tell yourself? Or did you do anything to, like, kind of, like, help calm yourself? Or did you just kind of, like, power through? Or something else?
I just kind of powered through. And, like, in retrospect now, the way that I feel is that, like, you just have to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you choose a song that no one likes, like, you are literally the only person who likes that song. If you dance to it with conviction, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, it's not all that matters, but like I think what it boils down to is like you have to decide for yourself what you're doing, why are you doing it, and are you doing it for somebody else or are you doing it for yourself? Like it's all that kind of stuff. Like I feel like it boils down to that. So like all these questions are going to come up no matter what, whether you think it's for yourself or you think it's for winning or you think it's for the audience, like whatever. But I think understanding that like when these questions pop up, let them come at you. You can answer them. When you start questioning yourself, it's because you're looking for an answer. And most of the time, you know the answer. It's like, what if they don't get it? It was like, fine. If they don't get it, no problem.
I mean,
we'll hit them with something else. There's like a 3-minute routine. We're going to hit them with another thing in a minute.
There have been plenty of routines out there where people have chosen songs, and I've been like, you seriously chose this song? Like, you think this was a good song to perform to? And I didn't even like their choreography that much, and they got first place.
Yeah.
So, like, you know, I like that. So my opinion doesn't really matter, especially as an audience member, like as one person.
Yeah, and that's like a it is the perfect and weird way to think of it because it's like working with Joe, like for like she really takes in consideration of where the audience is and are they going to get it and do they understand it and making it clear for them. And that's a really good understanding to have. And like, that's a skill like that was grown over time. Like she wasn't born with that. Like she had
that's
to
an
grow
advanced skill
to
have.
Yeah. And that's what she does with a lot of her proams. That's the reason why is because she wants to get that information out there. And I'm like, that's so great for sure. But like when she's working with someone like me, I don't want to think of those things. Like the audience is in on the game with us, but they're not the main focus.
Yeah.
I mean, in kind of like a weird way, the main focus is us because we're the one dancing.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't even take in consideration when I'm in certain situations, especially dancing with Joe, I don't take in consideration where the judges are or where the audience is because no matter what, like the audience is actually 3-sided.
Yeah.
And there's a camera, like, yeah, for sure. But, like, at the same time, it's like, where are we doing it for? Are we doing it for, like, the people that are there? Are we doing it for the people for our YouTube? Are we doing it for us so we can see each other? Or are we going to do it for the people right in front of us that are, like, trying to, like get the best angle? Or, like, you're hiding me. I'm like, I'm hiding you for, like, half a second. Like, if the audience doesn't know what you're doing back there, then they really need to question their dance abilities. Like, like, or the judges, the same thing. It's like, if you don't know what I'm doing behind you or like what's going on, it's maybe because we want it to be that way, or it's because like it's just a rock step. Like, you don't need to see every little part that's happening. Like, you just need to understand the grander picture of it all.
I mean, in some ways that's like a very it's like a very self-indulgent way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. Oh, completely. Oh, yeah. I say it all the time. I'm selfish in the sense of like, this is my dance and you guys are watching our dance right now.
Yeah.
Like, you guys, like, it's not like you guys should be lucky. No, it's not that. It's more like the idea of like fly on the wall.
I mean, I actually, like, now that we're talking about it, like, Lindy Hop competition in general, the way that everything is run is very self-indulgent.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yes and no. Like, I can see where the self-indulgence comes from, but I still feel like maybe this is what you're talking about. Like, I still feel like they push out all the energy so that they can receive it again from the audience. So
well,
like, yeah,
sure.
like in
I mean,
that
like,
sense,
I think there's an argument to be made that like Lindy Hop brings joy to people, and so like part of competition is bringing joy to the audience, which I think is valid. But like, I don't know. Like, I think the difference between this is like deep diving into a totally different topic.
Go ahead.
But like when you like a lot of times modern dancers or classically trained dancers are not choreographing their own pieces. They're performing pieces choreographed by other people.
Yeah.
And then they perform in a show that people are paying money to go see. And sometimes like those shows are not pleasant to sit through.
Right.
But they're sending a message, and the dancer is more of a tool to send that message.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, we don't tell as many stories or the depth of stories that are told in, like, modern dance or ballet, for example. And we are choreographing our own pieces, and our level of dancing is, like, at a wider range as far as like performance goes for people who are like coming to see us. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, keep going.
And so like in that way it seems more self-indulgent. Like this is for us. This is for us.
Yeah, I
the
get
Lindy
you now.
Hopper, as opposed to like as a modern dancer, you are a tool for someone else's project.
And that's fine. Like that is totally fine. Like I said before, it's like in the case of like Jo, where like she's working with pro-am dancers and like helping them come up. These are people that haven't refined that talent of performance and gone through the paces and gone through the ideas and gone through this. They haven't exhausted all the things that they've seen before, or maybe that like they've never experienced before. But for me as a dancer, like I'm not even saying like everyone should do this. I'm just saying like I'm trying to challenge my perception of how I see performances and how I present something. It's still a performance. It's still presenting something, but like it's in this way of like, and maybe it's because I just watch too many goddamn YouTube videos where people are doing music video or dance videos where they're like, it's not to one camera. It's like multiple cameras. And sometimes it's like, I do see these things where I'm like, well, that wasn't to camera, or like that was behind. And I'm like, wait, oh, there was a reason for that, because it's not about that moment. It's about the next moment.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck the moment that just right there. There's nothing there, but it's setting you up for the next thing.
Totally.
So I think with me, I feel like I've taken enough time and cultivated the talent to perform a good enough piece to an audience or judges or whatnot. But now I want to challenge myself to go further and see what else I can do with it. I mean, if it wasn't for that mentality, I feel like then you would never have modern dancing, because modern dancing is the idea of taking ballet and doing basically awkward things with it.
Yeah.
And breaking the kind of the code basically of ballet.
Breaking the code.
And I mean, like, again, this is not for everybody. I'm not saying like, hey, you dancer going to ILHC the first time, like, don't do it forward. We joked about it before. It's like, I'm gonna do it stage right.
Yeah.
Like I refined it since then. Like over this past year, talking about it a bunch with you and doing like stuff with Jo, where I'm like, oh,
no,
you're right.
I will
like
perform
it's not
at a 45-degree angle instead of just stage right.
I mean, like that's what everybody does anyways.
I mean,
Where
that is
where we
true.
gonna do the swing out? I bet you it's gonna be 45.
Is it
There it is.
45?
Is it 45? Is it 45?
Is it 45? 45?
It's 45.
45.
Oh man, I mean, that's the funniest thing. It's like it just gets me because I'm just like I'm sort of bored of it, but I'm not bored of watching people go through the steps anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like for a moment there I was for sure like bored in general with everybody.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, oh shit, no, that's mine, and I'm projecting it onto you. I apologize. This is what I'm feeling. I shouldn't have projected onto every fucking dancer.
Did all of this come from our bullet point of dealing with nerves and anxiety?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah, because I went further into it because when we think about nerves and anxiety and stuff, it often feels like it's right before the contest, but I often feel of it before and like leading up to it.
Like months before?
Yeah, like you were saying before, like and questioning yourself and doing all that stuff, and then you got into the idea of choreography, and I was like,
okay,
I got into the
okay,
idea of choreography. So like when you get to those moments, like I feel like you should let these nerves and anxiety actually fill you, and so that way you can decide whether, okay, can I do anything about this? Okay, I can change that part that I'm really nervous about in the choreography. Okay, can I change this over here? Well, there's no way to control what the audience likes or dislikes, so I'm not going to worry about it. And it may creep back up in my head and like creep up in my heart where I'm like, oh shit, they're not going to like it. But then I'm like, well, I can't do anything about it, so I might as well just let it go.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have different stages of anxiety. Like, you know, months out, I'll be like, is this worth showing people?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then, like, right before I go out there, I'm like, am I going to mess up?
Yeah.
Like, am I going to make it through alive?
Yeah. And that's the thing is like, I think no matter what, I don't know anybody who's never been not nervous right before a contest. Like, even in the invitational mixed couples that we're going to have at ILHC, I've talked to everybody. I'm like, yeah, they're all nervous. They want to do good.
Yeah.
They either want to
they want to do well.
They either want to do real good.
Well.
They
do well.
They either want to do real good well.
Really well.
They want to perform really well. They want to win very well, and they want to dig a well.
Much good.
Much
they
good.
want to do much good.
But you know what? Like it's each person has their own meaning for it, but there's always that sense of nervousness.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that helps everybody, at least the people that've been doing it for a while, is that they accept it a long time ago.
Yeah.
And they just work through it, not just deal with it, but they work through it over time and doing it many, many times.
Something that I've been exploring a lot lately because I've been going on a lot of these auditions where like I don't even get like anything to prepare for. Like I just go in there not knowing what's going to happen until they tell me like moments before I go into the room to audition.
Uh-huh.
And I've been getting like really nervous going in there and feeling like not confident and just like discombobulated. And we've spoken about this so many times. Like confidence is key when you're out there performing.
Uh-huh.
And something that Brett said to me is that when I go into an audition room or when I go out to perform something, like I'm not me, the person. I'm Rachel, the actor. And like as soon as I step into the audition room, I'm already acting.
Right.
Like
You're already in the character type thing.
Yeah, I'm already like the confident, friendly, good actor that Rachel the actor is. And I can like Rachel the person can be like scared and nervous and like shriveling up inside, but Rachel the actor is there to show everybody that she's the person who needs to be cast for the role.
Right.
And so I've started using that. I used that in this last audition for Expedia, and then I got the call back. And so I felt like it really helped me, and I would like to try that as far as performing in Lindy Hop as well, or competing in Lindy Hop. Like, I am Rachel the dancer. I'm not Rachel the person who knows how to dance. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, totally. I completely know, and I think, I mean, it invokes that kind of old saying of like fake it till you make it a little bit, but at the same time, it's for me what I feel about it is like you can control you. you can control how you feel, how the way you speak, how the demeanor you have. So like it's a little bit about the idea of being like, well, I don't know what they're going to do, but I know what I can do, and I'm gonna take everything up to 11.
Yes, yes, preach.
Preach. Yeah, and when we get these nerves and anxiety right before the contests,
Yeah.
when we step onto the floor, or like in the case of like ILHC, which I love so much, like they have that kind of entrance door.
Yeah.
Like I really do love that, because it does feel like you kind of, okay, time to exit the real world and go into this dance world that we created for ourselves, right? And it's fucking awesome in the best
it's
sense.
like you're walking onto a real stage.
Yeah, yeah. And I just posted it because I honest, like, okay, whatever, maybe a little bit of vain, probably a lot vain, but like this picture that Jerry Almonte took.
I
took
saw
of me,
that. It's
I
a
fucking love
like
that.
okay, first of all, it's a really good picture of you. Let's talk about that.
First of all, it's a really good picture.
Like your hair is on point. Okay.
I mean, but in general, like it's a real good picture. Like the composition and everything, it's like black and white, you know.
And like you look so great in black and white. You look.
I know, right?
You look really good in black and white.
No one needs to see this in color.
Oh my God, there you are. And your hair, your hair is looking good, and you got that nice shirt on.
But like you can see
the look on your face.
Even though it's like only half of my face.
You're ready to poop your pants.
Oh, completely.
You're
but like
actually ready to poop your pants.
I think it's like poop and pee, as we call it, a tranky do.
A tranky do.
At the same time. But you know what? Like it's probably the realest I'll ever be. Like the most zen, like I am being in the moment and living for it, and like living in harmony with my analytical thought processes and my emotional feelings. Like all of it all together. Like I feel okay, but at the same time, like I know I have this like overwhelming feel of nervousness that I'm trying to like overcome. And I really, really think that everybody in that moment, really, if they ever want to see what they're dancing and challenge themselves as they're dancing, like to go out, I'd go to ILHC and throw down on the dance floor and be able to go through that doorway is really, really like a special moment, and like can like really elevate a person to do things they never thought they could actually do.
Totally.
And I really love that picture so much, because I feel like everybody that's gone through that doorway feels the same way, in some maybe lesser, maybe more than me. So it's really cool.
Spoken from the heart from Mikey.
Yeah.
He's speaking from his true heart.
It wouldn't be an episode unless Rachel sang.
His feelings.
She's singing so good.
And he's sensitive. He's emotional, that Mikey. I just made up that song right now. Isn't that amazing?
I know. You made that song up right now, and then the way you were holding the microphone, you were like fucking power ballading. You were like, gay.
Too bad I don't have a better voice, and I could like really belt.
Oh, Rachel, no, don't say that about yourself. Your voice is super
So
beautiful.
good. It's so
Rachel,
good.
Rachel, your voice is well.
You try so hard.
Okay, let's move on to the question. Go on to the question.
The question today is from Alyx Hodges, who's a good friend of mine from Albuquerque. Hi, Alex.
Are you sure?
Am I sure?
Yeah, are you sure?
I mean, I'm sure that she's a person from Albuquerque.
Oh, okay, there you go. See, that's what I'm saying. You said
I'm
she's
sure.
A friend. I'm like, are you sure she's a friend?
Friends? We
are.
We texted the other day.
When was the other day?
Like last week or the
week
week before.
Prove it. Let me see.
Let me see. Let me just open up my phone for you. Okay. Alex says, after a recent move to Seattle, I've been noticing a slight difference in dance feeling from what I've known. It brought me to this question. What regional differences in modern Lindy Hop have you guys noticed as you travel around? Are there types of noticeable swing outs or dance patterns you feel are distinctly from a certain region? What discoveries have you made in modern day regional styles?
This is a really fun question because we were talking about it, and I know we did a whole episode kind of on the idea of regional accents.
Yeah.
But like recently, I mean, my fucking anybody.
Anybody.
Thought process, anybody's thought process is due to change at some point, and I feel like it's changed a little bit. So, like a lot of these things that she mentions here is external. She doesn't take maybe she does. Maybe she takes into consideration that she's the one coming from a different region or a different way of dancing, and she's a different one. Not so much their difference, you know. So like in the sense of going to Seattle, like back in the early 2000s, for sure there was this idea of like just fucking go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like there was like this idea of like it's raw. It's like there's no code, there's no nothing. Just fucking go for it and then hold on to each other's hands. Nowadays, I feel like it's very like this introverted dance in Seattle that they're not trying to do it for a show, which is totally fine. None of this is negative. They're not trying to do it for a show. They're not trying to do it for external feelings. They're doing it for themselves, like you were saying before. It's all just for them and their partner, like feeling the dance and like feeling it in between them.
Yeah.
So, but I feel like there's not much of a huge change in regional accents or regional styles of things. It's what is popular at that moment. It's what's popular around that in that time. Like for instance, like you've said it before, like the biggest thing about LA and Orange County is like when a fast song comes on, everyone turns into ball dancers.
Yeah, totally. And I think like around the time that a dance scene in a city really explodes is when like that style kind of settles in for the long haul.
Yeah, for sure. And I think in other places like Balboa is very prevalent here in Southern California. I would say more so than most other places. And then like somewhere like in the Midwest where like St. Louis Shag is taking off too, but like also because that's their regional dances. Like historically, like St. Louis Shag, obviously from St. Louis, and Balboa from Balboa Beach here in Orange County.
Yeah.
And so like and when it comes down to that, like that makes sense. Like that's regional styles of dance, but like styles within the style of Lindy Hop, like I think that just goes to show you that like there's still a difference in the way people do this, and I can't remember if we talked about it or if I talked about it with somebody else about the idea that when you come to Lindy Hop, because there's no code to it, a teacher can make up their own kind of ideas of like what code to follow so they can get better, or how they can teach it, or how somebody can learn it. But at the same time, it's taught that as you learn this code that is like, you know, justified because the person teaching it is that's the way they think of it, that you should still be this independent and feel like you're an individual in this dance, and you bring that personality into this dance. So like, is it regional? Sure. But like, is it person to person? I feel more like that.
I mean, I think you kind of have a good point here, but also like,
but all the rest of it is shit.
But the rest of it is shit. No, okay, but like here's a well, I don't know. Here's an example.
Go for it, yeah.
Is like, say the Seattle scene is starting to take off, and there's like
finally
3 or 4 major instructors out there teaching all the classes, and they're teaching for years, and you know, after a while they stop traveling so much. They stopped taking workshops so much. Maybe they stopped taking classes entirely, but they're still teaching. So they're still teaching that like same style over time. And that style gets transferred to dozens and dozens and dozens of students. And those people start to teach a little bit, and they teach that style to other people. So it like starts to infiltrate. And so like I think that there can be regional differences because of situations like that.
Sure, but I mean, then it's not regional. Well, I mean, yeah, it is sort of regional, but like it's not. Like when I hear regional, I think of like it's because of the place where you live, and like because it's hot outside, you're gonna dance slower. You know, like like that's what it makes me think about. But I know what you're getting at, and like I know what you're low key talking about. So, yeah, and I really truly believe that as well. But are we going to define a dance scene by the people that just kind of like do it every once in a while and that like a little bit of that? Or are we going to define it by the dancers that are in it for the long haul and have been around for a long time. Like that's what a question I go back and forth about.
Like,
or is it just two different feelings, or is it two different questions?
But
then?
like, do you remember when you could go to an event and be like, "Are you a dancer from Seattle?" And they'd be like, "Hey, how'd you know?" And you could be like, "Oh, I could tell by the way you do your swing out."
A little bit, yeah.
I mean, I don't feel like it's that way so much anymore, but I still feel like if you are in the community or in the scene, you will still see that and feel that.
Like know where they're from?
Yeah. Like a lot of quote unquote old timers in LA who don't really travel anymore or take classes anymore. Like they have that classic LA style of dancing from like the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, but there's a whole group of people from Texas that dance the exact same way.
But that's
and they're like can fall in the same thing, but they're not from LA.
Well, sure, but I guess like what I'm saying is like I definitely felt a big difference in how people dance and how people connect when I moved to LA.
Right.
As opposed to like the way people dance in Albuquerque.
Sure, but then again, you could say that that's because like you were the teacher and you were the one that was doing the things you were doing over and over again and teaching other people to do it. So then you came into a whole different feel of people that you would never come in contact before with.
Well, right, but that is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like she moved to Seattle. She had never danced with any of those people before, and they all felt totally different from what she was used to.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what's funny? It's like, I don't know. I don't see it like that. I don't see it like oh my gosh, everyone here is dancing different. Like I actually see it like, oh, this person I dance with isn't the best dancer. Oh, this person is. It doesn't matter where they're from. Like, well, like it may, or maybe from the same city, but like they feel completely different from each other even. So then,
yeah.
that puts a hole into the logic, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I completely think of like, yeah, I've thought of that, but then I think of this one, and I'm like, well, which one is right, or which one should I be looking at?
No, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I also wonder if there's like an experience discrepancy. You know what I mean? Because
no,
because you're an internationally traveling teacher,
yeah,
and so. And because you dance professionally, like you are very in tune with how people move and how they're going to feel. And then you can like gauge immediately like with what's going on, as opposed to Alyx, who is like, she's been dancing for maybe 5 or 6 years or something. And she goes out occasionally.
Right.
She's not going to be able to feel all those subtle differences that you're feeling. She's just going to feel like the overall picture of how people connect,
right,
which
right.
is different than what she's used to.
You're totally right.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, totally. You're totally right. Like my view and my experience informs what I am able to feel.
Yes.
And it comes from a long time of trying to cultivate it, and like someone that has been doing it for a fraction of the time, or in general just like hasn't thought of it in many different ways as maybe me or someone else. Yeah, for sure.
But you're still wrong.
Oh, totally. And when you say wrong, you mean I've pooped the truth out of my mouth hole, and I've created an amazing truth bomb.
Okay, that's just gross. Okay,
I mean, if you're gonna call me out, I'm gonna call it out too. That's the thing. It's like kind of like how we talked about like. In the other one of like good versus great or good and great, like
yeah,
like does it really matter where they're from and how they dance? Like I feel like this is where we get into right and wrong. I feel like as a good partner dancer, you should be able to listen as much as you are able to kind of communicate, in the sense of like you should be able to like have this conversation back and forth as opposed to just have a one-sided conversation, right, like whether you're lead or follow. So like I feel like it's doesn't matter what style they dance. No, I could care less. But like does it matter like how I communicate with somebody? That's what matters a lot more.
Well, but she's not arguing a question of right or wrong or good or bad. It's more of a like just a general wondering of like, have you discovered these things?
Yeah, no, totally. You're totally right, and like I get that, and I'm just saying like another side of it, another side of like how to think of this, how to think of this whole, how to think of this whole idea of like I come to a new scene. Is it me or is it them or is it just like hey maybe I could take this chance to like really work it out and really understand this from a different angle and like go oh I'm going to work on my communication skills when I dance.
Right, but I'm gonna keep pushing your buttons here.
Yeah, it's fine.
But I think what she's asking though is like, are they all dancing a way that is like regional to Seattle or to the Seattle area?
But we already talked about that. That's the thing is I'm continuing the question. I'm continuing the conversation rather. So like you've already talked about that, and we agreed that it's like it kind of the regional ideas come from like the local teachers that are teaching like wide variety of people.
I see.
You know, like and it's all that stuff is like we agree on that, and like we agree on the other thing of like there's also regional dances that come historically and then, like the way they've been doing it for a long time and all that stuff. But I'm saying like what next? Like what comes beyond these questions? What do you do with the information?
Next time on the Brightside.
You just love echoing that "I'd" part. You fucking love it.
It's because it makes it more epic.
before you even said it, I was like, she's gonna do an "I'd." She's gonna do an "I'd." Here it comes.
It just makes it more epic.
Yeah. You know what's funny though? The biggest thing I see regional differences is the name of moves. That's how I kind of know where people are from. Yeah. That's the biggest way I know where people are from. Like they don't do it so much anymore, but they used to. Like the English UK scene used to call a swing out a Lindy turn.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's just wrong.
I mean, I could care less. At the end of the day, like I've gotten down to the point where like I could care less what you call it. Like this is what I'm going to call it for the duration of this class. After this, you could call it shit. Who cares?
Oh
like,
yeah, well it totally doesn't matter what you call it.
Yeah.
If it's the same thing, it's the same thing.
I can't think of the other ones. I was just thinking about like I know Australia has one that was like I was like huh
well,
okay
but even like even aerials have had like
for sure
like the Frankie flip. There's like the lamppost, the helicopter, the Frankie flip, the like the toss
over the back,
yeah,
or around the back.
The
but you know what's
flip.
funny? The best part is that I love the Frankie flip or the Frankie. Like yeah, I've heard that, and it's so funny because I remember that like vividly. Like it was one of his last Frankie talks. Like I think it was at a Southwest Lindy Fest, and someone asked him. It's like, did you create the flip that goes around the back? And then he goes, what? He's like, we call it the Frankie flip. Did you create it? And he's like, no, I didn't. I created these other. He's like, I created these other ones. I started these ones right here.
Like, and I was like,
and I remember going, yeah, and I remember going just like, oh, that's cool. Like that's like a nugget, this little nugget of information of like awesome historical cool shit of like for our dance that we totally nerded out on.
Yeah.
Like the one that he takes credit for is the one where like
Easter egg.
Exactly. And the one that he said he helped create was the one that where you're looking face to face with your partner, and then like she grabs your hips and she starts doing like a flip up, and then you just carry her all the way back as a leader.
Wait, where you're standing face to face, and then what?
And then like the follow goes into like the hips, and then like uses the leader to like flip over his back, like
a somersault.
Yeah, like a somersault, like on the leader's body, right?
Oh,
and then you land behind the leader.
Wait, what do you call that one?
I don't know. A front flip?
No, I used to know the name of it.
That should be called, if anything, a Frankie, because like that's the one he took credit for.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, a crunch, like a crunch roll. Maybe. Or a crunch toss or crunch toss. Crunch toss.
There you go. There you go. That's
what we always called it.
That's the whole idea. That's the whole idea. Is like there's so many different things, and like that's a regional difference for sure.
That one's hard when you're doing it with a tall human. Like when you're a short human and you're doing it with a tall human, it's easy to fall on your face.
You know what's funny about that?
What?
I've never understood what it means to be tall. No, to be tall.
Well, I mean, I don't know what it's like to be tall, but I know what it's like to work with tall people. Or to do like a popover with a really tall person. You're like, I'm going so high.
Have you let's see. Like, because there's a good question. There was a good part of this question that we didn't hit. Like different types of swing outs.
Oh yeah.
Have you felt a different type of swing out?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time, but I remember when I first started traveling to Denver a lot, the dancers had this like very specific swing out. Where they would like really emphasize the 1 and the 5. It was like a Charleston swing out. They'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do you remember that?
I remember that. I mean, yeah, I remember seeing that a lot. Like it was a Midwest thing too, for sure.
Yeah. And then like
there was back in the day like the whole idea of like the LA style or like the smoother style and the modern Savoy.
Yeah.
That was like completely different. I remember feeling that out and I was like, wow, this is awkward as fuck. And then like a few years down the line going like, wow, this is very interesting. Like how does this actually work? Like I didn't even think about that. I was superficial back then.
I mean, I even remember like there was a period where a lot of the Seattle follows had this like very raw kind of like swivel where they'd be like hunched over and they'd be like, Kuh.
Yeah, for sure. Like there was like things like that for sure. Like especially in the Seattle area, like where they just like it was very primal and animalistic. And it fit very well into the faster style of dancing that we love to do.
Yeah.
I think stuff like that. Like I think those discoveries that we see over time helps to inform where we are nowadays. Like I feel nowadays we're subject to a lot of trends, which isn't a bad thing. I really don't see the bad thing in it because like if someone wants to just like follow somebody else, that's their prerogative. Or if they want to like take a little something from that person, that's their prerogative as well.
Yeah.
I see a lot of trends going by. I see lots of cool things. I see lots of originality, but like originality brought through just kind of like your idea, like wouldn't it be funny if we did this, or like I had this dream once, or like really like this kind of like weird out of body experience when they start Lindy hopping. And I like it because like for a long time I didn't see much emotional changes in the dance, and I feel like all that stuff brings out an emotional change or emotional expression, and I want to see more of that. Like I get jealous of like other dances a lot of the times because they can express more more of like the gambit of emotions and more than just joy all the time. For our dance, I'm like, but man, but still, like we should be able to celebrate everything, all this stuff. Like you said, like in modern dance, like for sure, in modern dance, there's so many different things. Like Alvin Ailey in general, like his greatest ballet. Revelations is all about like Southern traditions of Christianity, but like there's so many different things. There's like a person not feeling at their best and coming to God to help them out, or like there's a group of people that are all mixed and they're asking for forgiveness, or they're like going down to the water to like praise, and like they're dressed in white and they're like they have all these imagery, or like the idea of love and Christianity, like the idea of praising and like having like a whole tribe of people, congregation of people, like going absolutely joyous because of this. So like it's so many different feelings of life that I feel like they go through, and I really really love the going through that experience with Lindy Hoppers, because like I feel like we're just scratching the surface on what more we can do with this dance.
Totally. I agree with that.
What's your Brightside?
Oh man.
Is it you can't wait for your next trip?
I can't wait for my next trip. I know how to walk, maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I will say that I was really stoked about getting that callback. That was really exciting. I really hope they contact me, but we'll see. I don't know.
We shall see.
We shall see. I feel like it's pretty unlikely. I mean, it's like winning the lottery, you know? Like, say they had 3,500 submissions and then they chose me to, you know, be like the head of their campaign. That seems like, that's like pretty unlikely.
Why not? It'll be good. You'll be the face of Expedia.
You'll be the face of Expedia.
They're gonna tattoo a large X on your face.
Expedia.
If you do get a job from them, if you do get a job with them though, could you tell them to let me unsubscribe from their fucking emails because I can't do it. They won't
cannot?
let me. They won't let me. It's such a fucking convoluted thing. Ugh, it pisses me off. Anyways,
it's the worst. It's the
my
worst.
bright side
Oh yeah, your bright side.
is hopefully all the awesomeness I can do after I'm done with this injury.
Yes.
But also, actually, no. Really, my bright side is that I get to go to ILHC and I get to watch it as a spectator and also as a judge this year. I get to be a judge.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's
that is really
exciting.
cool. It's really exciting, and I take it as like a really big honor. Like,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be a judge at ILHC, and then when they asked, I was like,
You're like, oh my gosh.
okay, cool, yeah.
Hey, you know what you should do?
What?
Maybe you should do like some sort of like commentary while you're watching, like record some commentary.
I
No?
mean, I could,
Yeah.
but the thing is, it doesn't make sense on the podcast.
Because you're not funny enough.
Yeah,
I
I
get
need
it.
a like
you need like a funny partner to be there
funny
with you.
partner,
Like,
or like in
maybe
Hollywood they
someone
just call
who's
them like
young and cute,
maybe-
and beautiful, and
like the cutest person in the room
cutest
type
person
thing.
in the room.
I mean, I think in Hollywood they call it I need a Jew.
someone who could be the face of Expedia, perhaps.
I need a
Someone
partner,
who knows how to
a
walk.
partner of the tribe.
Someone
or
who
maybe,
knows how to walk.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Okay, I'm gonna miss you. I'm
I'm
gonna miss you
too,
being out
but
there.
I'll see you next week at Camp Hollywood.
Yeah. Yes.
Even though-
yes.
I will have to still work my day job
Boo.
during camp. I know. Well, now that I have changed my whole schedule around where I work on the weekends so that I have the week off so that I can go to auditions. It's gotten really hard to travel, and I'm hoping that it's just temporary. Like, I'm hoping this will last for only a few more months, but who knows? I
Yeah.
could be at Blue Bottle for years.
All right. Well,
Okay.
you guys know where to find us. Thank you so much for listening. Facebook. Oh, by the way, we have we just got on Google Music, Google Play Music.
I don't know what that is, but
It's
I'm
iTunes.
excited.
It's iTunes for Google phones.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So now you thought you could get rid of us. You thought
You
you
thought you
have
could get rid of us, but you
you thought-
couldn't, baby.
you thought because you have a Samsung phone you couldn't listen to us, but now you
were
can.
like, no, I have a Samsung. I cannot listen, but now you can, baby.
Exactly. So iTunes, rate and review us over there. Leave us your comments or questions. We love getting them on the Facebook page.
Getting them on the Facebook page.
And we also have our YouTube channel where you can listen / watch us, our beautiful faces.
And you'll see us both together at Camp Hollywood if you go.
Exactly.
So
All
look
right.
out for us.
Look out for Rachel and her singing.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You bye.
You bye.
You
Okay,
bye.
no, you say bye first.
No, you bye.
Okay, ready?
Ready?
2,
1, 2,
3.
3.
Okay, but you didn't say
No,
bye.
you had to say it. No,
didn't
you
say
have
bye
to say
either.
it. Oh my goodness.
Okay, ready?
Okay.
Okay.
Ready?
1,
1, 2, 3.